video, and for the first time in this list, looking at a Neil Young track. So the song is Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, but as I say was written by Neil Young. And it's another song in this list to come out in 1970 as well. So I think that's the third track from 1970 that we've looked at. And this song was written as a sort of protest to the Kent State shootings that happened in May 1970. And Neil Young had written and recorded this song in May 1970, in the same month sort of thing. So, and then it was released, I think, in June or July. And it appeared in a 71 album as a live version, but then didn't come out until 74 as a proper studio recorded version kind of thing, outside of the single in 1970. And obviously since it's appeared on, you know, loads of greatest hits. I've got one actually. It's this one here. It features on here, and I think on a Decade as well. So this track then, it's you know, to me it's just got such a cool groove to it. And again, we're focusing on guitar riffs that make me kind of, you know, as soon as I hear them, I just go, man, I need to figure that out on guitar. I need to play that kind of thing. So that's why it makes this list. And every single time I hear it, and the sound of it, the sound's really, really tricky to get, because Neil Young is famous for, you know, everything he does is super loud. Everything's old school, cranked. So to get his sound and that sound from that record, it is going to be very, very tough. So I've just tried to give it my best shot on the sound. But everything about it, I hear it and I love the sound of it. And it feels cool as well. That groove, the way that riff kind of loops around. It's a cool thing. And, you know, that's literally what it's all about, I suppose, isn't it? It's those sounds and melodies that you hear that just get into you kind of thing. And this track, again, like all the others we've looked at, straight away, as soon as I heard it, I've got to learn it, I've got to hear it, and I never ever get sick of it. So that is why it's on the list. So with all of that being said, I'm going to show you we'll go over the tuning, and then like normal, I'll show you how I've played it in the intro. And yeah, like I said though, with the sound, those cranked amps, that old school kind of sound, it's going to be tough. But the tuning, I think, is a really big part of it. So let's get on to the lesson. All right then, so before we get on to the lesson, I just want to mention the tuning. So it's what you call double drop D. So you don't even have to get your tuner out to get this. You just tune in your low E string to D and your high E string to D. And a lot of people will say just do the drop D. And I think it's worth tuning your high E string down as well. I mean, if I just sidestep from this song a second and go to a song like Cortez the Killer's kind of chord progression, sort of like this. So, because that high E string is tuned to D as well, to me it's got that kind of crazy or Neil Young, I call it a squish, because it's kind of squishy, if that makes sense to anyone that uses funny words to describe sounds. So I think it's well worth tuning that high E string down to D. And like I said, you don't even have to have a tuner. You've already got a D string in standard tuning. So just hold that. And then pick your other two strings and kind of tune to it, and you're going to get double drop D. So just thought it was worth mentioning the tuning there a little bit more, and sort of emphasise tuning that down to D as well. So the riff then, we've got this. Which is just one of the coolest riffs ever. And like I said before, you know, I just had to kind of give it a go when I heard that, and I love it kind of thing. So it's based around kind of three main chord shapes. And remember, we've got that E string and, well, both the E strings tuned to D. So do like a D shape, but without the high string fretted. So first finger, second fret of the G string, third finger, third fret of the B string. So you got like a D. And then you start it off with kind of like a hit palm mute on the low E string, which is tuned to D, kind of like that. And then we're kind of picking the G and B strings while we're in this shape and doing a hammer on to the 2nd fret after the. And then because we've got the high E string tuned to D, we're kind of picking back from the high E. So we go to the open D first, sorry. Kind of like that. And then when we come down, we do the G string open. So kind of like that. And that open G string is kind of like the stab throughout the riff, if you like. So you're hammering on to the 2nd fret of the G string. Open D, and then with your high E string, and then open G. And you can kind of be fast and loose with it. You can play it with just the single notes, or you can sort of be a bit scrappy and catch the G, B and D strings as well. Kind of like that. I'm not being very specific there, I'm just kind of throwing my hand on it, and I kind of like the way that sounds. And then once we've got that, we go into the 2nd chord, which is kind of like an F, if you imagine an F like that, but just the 3 notes of it. So 3rd finger D string 3rd fret, middle finger G string 2nd fret, 1st finger B string 1st fret. And then we're picking the D and G, or just the D. And then for that bit, we're kind of lifting off, getting that open G that I said about again. So while we're in this shape, just lift your middle finger. Kind of like that. And then we're coming down to this C shape. And the C shape is 3rd finger A string on the 3rd fret, middle finger D string 2nd fret, leaving the G open, and then 1st finger stays where it was before on the 1st fret of the B string. So we got kind of like that. So you notice this finger here stays the same, and these just move over one. And then to end it on the 2nd time, because it starts the same, so we got. And we kind of, with that kind of C chord held on the A string 3rd fret, we kind of do like a slow bend that speeds up to bring us back onto the, you know, the main sort of beat, if you like. And like I said, you can kind of get away with playing it quite sort of fast and loose. You know, don't worry if you catch an open string here and there. And having that low E tuned to D actually helps kind of give it a fuller kind of sound, because you're never going to be too far off the mark. If that was tuned in its open E, we wouldn't sound quite the same. So just to recap on that really slow. So like I said, just those 3 chords. And that's it for that riff. So once again, I'm going to employ a looper pedal here, which I've realised I've used way more than I thought. It's, you know, confirms how handy they are. So let's kind of get that looped in. So what we've got there is in the background, you've kind of got this open string sort of walking riff, and it kind of just goes, we're not fretting anything, we just got the D, A and D, and it's kind of like this, but palm muted. So we're going D to D, skipping the A string, and then walking the D, A and D. And then in context with that riff. And you'll notice whenever it comes back to the start of the riff, you're getting that synchronized sort of, you know, low D string. So it's this riff with a looper. It's a really good way of sort of timing two different parts to a song yourself, because it just tells you if it's right or wrong, essentially, which is very, very handy. Like I say, when you play it. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. So very, very handy with the looper there. And then if I just kind of record that in, I suppose. So we've got that there. And then with the solo, just find notes that work and jam it. And because the solo to it, it's you can tell it's just a jam. You could play it a different way every single time. So just use your ears once you've got the loop right, and just have it loop and loop and loop and loop, and just play, you know, find your own little ways to play it, and just let your ear guide you. Don't worry what pentatonic is it, what shape is it. Just play notes over it, and the ones that sound right are the right ones, and just have fun. You know, once you've got that loop right, I think it works really, really well. And then just to kind of go, I know we didn't cover this in the intro, but I really like the sound of this as well. When that main riff pauses and we get these kind of chords with another guitar that walks over it like this. Because of the tuning we've got, this chord I think just sounds so cool. And what that is, I'm using my third finger on the 5th fret of the E string, which again is tuned to D, little finger on the 5th fret of the A string, and then first finger barring the 3rd fret of the D, G, B and E. So we get this. Which is just such a cool sound. And then another guitar plays this kind of descending riff of the same shape over it. I know we're slightly out of tune there, but you get the gist. And then when we go on to that, that's just little finger barring the 5th fret of the D, G, B and E. And listen to the way that tuned high E to D sounds on that. So cool. And then first finger is just kind of muting the D string and then playing 3rd fret of the A string. So hopefully that kind of gives you the basics to get that loop done, the 2 parts, and then just have a lot of fun trying to jam over the top of it, because it sounds awesome. It's so much fun. And like I said before, I've realised I've used the looper quite a lot throughout this series. And what I'm going to try and do is get a little collaboration with Nuex or something going, where I give away a looper to say thank you for watching these videos, because once again, I think that they're just super, super handy. And, you know, well worth having kind of thing. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and this riff, and I will see you again for another one very soon.